Welcome to Trailer as a Short Film, where we break down, analyze, and deconstruct a trailer, not as a marketing device, but as a short film telling its own story. Hey everyone, I'm Markus Graves, and this episode we'll be observing Marvel Studios' Avengers Infinity War trailer, released March 16th, 2018.
The entire time I knew him, he only ever had one goal. To wipe out half the universe. If he gets all the Infinity Stones, he can do it with the snap of his fingers. Just like that.
Tell me his name again.
Thanos.
The first shots are of the city of New York with a fiery object in the distance closing in, a few Avengers looking up into the sky at the coming danger, and the Sanctum Sanctorum, home of Doctor Strange, with the same fiery object approaching. What story could these shots possibly be telling? Well, what's conveyed in the frame? The shots of New York City, a few of the Avengers, and the Sanctum are rotating clockwise. There are only 4 shots in this film that do that, but one, which occurs later in the film, is going to be excluded for a reason that I'll get to soon. Both the New York and Sanctum shots convey the fiery object, which is Thanos' ring-like device, and the symbol that's in the skylight of the Sanctum is the Seal of Ashanti, which is also on the Eye of Agamotto, which houses the Time Stone. As for the shot of the Avengers looking up into the sky at the fiery object, it merely shows their reactions and their helplessness to actually stop the inevitability of Thanos. Taking these conveyances into account, and remembering that there is no other purpose to show the Sanctum, since the good doctor doesn't even appear or have any involvement in this sequence personally, this seems to express the aspect of time, progressive time, a ticking clock to be precise. Thanos is coming and he's coming quickly. The one excluded shot, which earlier I mentioned, is of Star-Lord, who, via his boots, attaches to a rock and the frame rotates along with him. That is excluded because there is an in-frame reason for this rotation. He's on a spinning rock and the camera is simply tracking him. These first 3 shots are distinct because though they are integral to the story, they have no in-frame basis for their rotation. Therefore, their rotation is story-driven as opposed to practicality. Now, stories only progress because characters with multiple characteristics and traits impose themselves in some way, shape, or form upon their world. Here, Thanos' character is portrayed in Gamora's dialogue to Tony, and is used in conjunction with the visuals. Thanos is driven, possibly obsessive, and he's destructive. Yes, I realize that Gamora may or may not be talking to Tony in the final film. It could very well be Thor based on his proximity to the Guardians shown in the first trailer. But because we are observing this narratively as opposed to marketing, which takes scenes out of context, the sequences will be observed as a cohesive whole.
We got one advantage. He's coming to us. We have what Thanos wants, so that's what we use.
Let's talk about this plan of yours. I think it's good, except it sucks. So let me do the plan, and that way it might be really good.
Wow.
As the story progresses, the ring is finally in the city. Thanos' reach has made its way to Earth. A new theme arises from this: urgency. The main and supporting protagonists spring into action. Peter, showing his self-sacrificial and responsibility-driven nature, risks his identity by masking himself, still in civilian clothing, on the side of a Queens school bus and swings into action. Tony, with his aggressive and offensive traits, not offensive, but offensive, bursts toward the ring. This remains in continuity with his character from previous movies.
I prefer the weapon you only have to fire once, and it's worked out pretty well so far.
We need a plan of attack.
I have a plan. Attack.
Scarlet Witch watches over and is seemingly protecting Vision, who appears to be sitting and wearied. Cap shows his alliance-forming characteristics, as well as his characteristics of comrative, which, yes, I know that's not a word, but it describes the essence of Cap as a soldier having comrades by your side and his relationship with them. So, this shows his comrade nature and his comrade empathetic nature. Here, he forms an allegiance with T'Challa and Wakanda and seems to also be seeking medical attention for Vision. Notice that it is his head that Shuri is holding a hologram of. Like Tony, this is in character for Cap as well. Cap has always been a team-focused character and will do what he can for his comrades.
How are you guys planning on beating that? Together. We'll lose. And we'll do that together too.
He even re-teams with characters such as Rhodey and Vision, who were on the opposite side of the Sokovia Accords. This also further accentuates the theme of urgency. Your squabbles no longer are important. This threat requires all of their attention. As the Guardians deboard the Milano, there are mirror themes happening here. While the divided Avengers are forced to come together, the united family known as the Guardians of the Galaxy have to divide themselves. A particular scene in this sequence conveys not only Star-Lord's sarcastic and self-assured nature, but the Guardians' familial and trusting relationship. Quill believes that his plan would be better than Tony's, and Drax merely looks back at Tony with no debate or issue. Quill has been their leader for years by this point in the MCU timeline. They become a family, and Drax is either not trusting or is hesitant to trust a newcomer's abilities. As the story continues, all the separate teams now take their stands on separate fronts. Thor, Groot, and Rocket in space, Iron Man and his team in the sky to deal with the ring, and Cap, Black Panther, and their team draw battle lines on the ground in Wakanda. I do want to call attention to one thing that shows another characteristic of Cap, which is in contrast to Tony's offensive nature. Cap is defensive. As seen later in the film, Wakanda's battle doesn't begin until Thanos comes to them. Notice they are the ones that are attacking Wakanda's shield barrier.
When I'm done, half of humanity will still exist. Perfectly balanced. As all things should be. I hope they remember you.
The final act of this film begins with a flashback that further establishes Thanos' character and introduces a new theme to the film: dominance. Thanos is conquestive and dominative, making his way across the universe, destroying and/or putting everything and everyone under his rule. This continues to the present. Thanos squeezing Thor's head with his fingers, Thanos crushing the Tesseract in his massive hand. Yet, in the face of this, the Avengers prepare themselves for battle still. Thanos' horde move on Wakanda, Doctor Strange elevated and tortured. Thanos' horde overrun Wakanda and take down the Hulkbuster. Tony's armor is broken, he himself distraught. Thanos attacking Cap with one hand while Cap must use both of his hands to just not be run down. Still, Cap's efforts seem to be in vain. But as the film reaches its climax, one more characteristic of Cap is shown: his unyielding nature. Even in the face of dominance and certain defeat, he will not back down.
I could do this all day.
Now that we've broken it down, let's recap exactly what story this short film is telling. The Earth is facing the impending threat of Thanos, a conquering and dominating being of immense power. The Avengers will resist this threat. They team together and establish different fronts and plans based on that particular leader's characteristics. But Thanos and the Black Order overpower and overrun them. Yet, in the face of defeat and destruction, the Avengers refuse to back down. Cut to black and roll credits. Thank you for watching this installment of Trailer as a Short Film. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe if you're so inclined to check out my other breakdowns, reactions, and short films. Till next time.